Hey YouTube, this is Nick from Team Dix, and this is the deck list for my anti-meta deck for March 2012. We've got 3 Effect Veiler. It's a staple now, really, considering taking it down to 2, just because it's bad against Dino Rabbit, which is the most popular deck right now, but it's been working well at 3. It stops Inzektor's, stops the wind-up loop, and it's synchro option as well. 2 Breaker. It's a 1900 beta. I can hit their back row with it. If I bring it out first, my opponent will know that I've got a token ready to destroy one of their back row. So it's quite a good card at baiting out their warnings and whatever on the back. 2 Fossil Diner. I think 3's not that great right now because it's useless against Inzektors, and it's not too great against windups because I'm starting to see more windup decks taking windup soldier for a bit of aggression, and this guy's pretty good against windups, but now that agents and plants and whatever are dead, I don't think it's completely viable at 3. 2 Thunder King. Gone for 2 over 3 for the same reasons as Fossil Diner. Just not as good as it was last format at 3. And 2 allows me to take in more relevant stuff. 2 DD Crow. It's really good right now. Stops Inzektors in the tracks. Stops the wind-up loop, meaning that I've got 5 outs main decked for it in case they attempt to loop first turn. And not many people expect DD Crow main deck, so Inzektors would probably not really have much consideration for the Hornet in the grave. Won't worry about it, and then I drop a DD Crow. It can hurt the deck quite badly. 2 King Tiger, that's a proxy. King Tiger is just really good right now. Stops so many cards in the meta. Stops Torguide, stops Rabbit, stops Wind Up Rat, Dragonfly. It just hits so many cards right now. It's 1700 attack, so Inzektor Centipede can't get over it. It's really good. Definitely one of the best cards in the deck right now. Cyber Dragon, bit of aggression, bit of a attack power to get over their Thunder Kings and any kind of decent beaters they've got, Sabersaurus, etc. Also helps bait out their Solemn Warnings and whatnot. I'd rather they hit Cyber Dragon with Warning as opposed to something else. And if my opponent goes into their mains or their Mighty, or they're playing like a gadget deck, it's always good to contact Fusion into Camera Tech. 1 Spirit Reaper, great against Dino Rabbit, pretty good against windups. Both decks don't have that many outs to it really, so I can sit behind it if needed, and if I'm in a good position I can be aggressive with it and start hitting their hand. Side it out again, obviously against Inzektors. Gale, really good. Can take down their boss monsters on its own. Great synchro options. It's level 3, so I can exceed with it as well. Grand Maul's just amazing right now, as it's always been. Gets rid of synchros and exceeds, no problem. And if I'm in a aggressive position, I can keep bouncing stuff their Spirit Reapers and whatever they're saying to go for game. And finally for the monsters, DD Warrior Lady. Again, same as Maul, really good against synchros and exceeds. Against Dino Rabbit, it baits out their Lagia, because obviously if I'm going to attack their Lagia with DD Warrior Lady, they're going to negate the summon with its effect. So yeah, that's it for the monsters. Spells. We've got Dark Hole, staple, don't need to explain that. Book of Moon, again staple. 2 Shadow Greed. This card is really good in this deck because it's a quite slow deck, and there's not that much draw power, so having the pluses off this is really good. As well, it forces my opponent to choose whether or not to destroy my back row with an MST or destroy this guy. Either way, it's a bonus for me because at the very least, it's a 1-for-1. It's costing their MST to get rid of this, so and most of the time I'll get its effect off anyway and plus off it, which is always good. Side it out against Inzektor's, obviously, because don't want to be on the field if you're playing Inzektor's. 2 duality. So really good in this deck. Don't special summon a hell of a lot, and it's quite a balanced deck and quite consistent. So I'll usually get 3 different cards that would help in a situation. 2 Smashing Ground. This deck doesn't really have any boss monsters, so to be able to get rid of theirs with a simple 1-for-1 destruction is always good. And finally, for the spells, Forbidden Lance. Pretty good tech, I think, for anti-meta. So good protection and help protects my monsters against their deep prisons, bottomless, etc. Finally, for the traps, 2 Fiendish Chain. It's a staple in any deck running traps right now. It's so amazing. That's why it's like a 30-35 quid super, and you don't see many of them. It stops effects, stops attacks. What's not to love? 2 Chain Disappearance. This is obviously a side deck card, but I choose to main it simply because it's, as with King Tiger, it's just so good right now. Hits so many different decks, and nobody expects a main deck Chain Disappearance, especially not 2. So this on its own can win games, and when you're not expecting it game 1, you're not bothered about summoning your Dragonfly or your Torguide. 2 Solemn Warning, monster negation. Bottomless. I've gone for 1/2 because there's a lot of monsters that get round it nowadays, and it would be an incredibly bad top deck, so I prefer to stick to 1/2 of these. Mirror Force. 1 Starlight Road to protect my back row from Heavy Storm and my monsters from Dark Hole. 1 Deep Prison. 1 Judgment. 1 Compulse, which I think is really, I've chosen this over the 2nd Deep Prison because it's more versatile, can get rid of their whatever they've got on the field, and it's really annoying to see this guy. And finally, a Dark Bribe. I've gone for a Dark Bribe over a 2nd Starlight Road because I just think it's more versatile. Right now it stops more than just Dark Hole and Heavy Storm. I can use it in a pinch against their Deep Prison or their Mirror Force if I need to, or their Solemn Warning, and them drawing a card isn't usually a problem. Like if they're Heavy Storm in my back row of 3-4 back row, them drawing a card is much better than me losing 3 or 4 cards on the back row, so it's been testing really well. Extra deck is standard stuff: Scrap, Stardust, Catastor, Utopia, Zemains, Leviathan, etc. Nothing really worth mentioning there. Side deck, quite experimental at the moment, because although YCS Atlanta and Leipzig, or however you spell it or pronounce it, has been good indications of the next format, there's still no definite. So we've got 2 Banisher, really good against Inzektor's Dark Worlds, which I think we'll see a bit more play next format, especially like Dark World Stun, Skill Drain Dark Worlds, whatever. And it's level 3 as well, so I can exceed with it. 3 Cosmos, same as Banisher, stops Inzektor's Dark Worlds, Chaos, etc. Although I'm thinking of dropping it down to 2, because with having 2 Banisher as well, maybe a bit overkill with the remove from play stuff. So another Fossil Diner. I think maining 3s can be quite costly right now because it's not as good as it used to be. But if needed, I can side a third in against synchro heavy decks or decks that exceeds a lot, like wind up some Denner Rabbit. I'd side in a third against them. Third Thunder King, same again. Not great at 3 right now, but there are situations where a third can come in handy. Second Forbidden Lance. This is mostly if my opponent's playing a lot of traps, like myself, like Deep Prisons and Bottomless, that I can use this guy to protect my stuff. And as well, it means that my Thunder Kings and my Breakers and whatnot can beat over their boss monsters. 2 Shadow Imprison. Again, Injectors and Dark Worlds, Chaos. Really good. But it's pretty much game if this guy's out and they don't draw an MST soon. Another Deep Prison, in case they're a bit aggressive and my traps aren't really up to much. And finally another Cyber Dragon, which is for any decks that go into machines, like your rank 3 Zemains, Zemighty, and then any gadget decks or whatever. Having a second one of these is always good. So yeah, that's the deck so far. If you've got any comments or suggestions or questions, then feel free to ask them. Leave them comments in the bottom, and if you like the deck lists and whatever, then please subscribe. Thanks.